What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are live with our match reaction today against Middlesbrough, where we got thumped 4-0. Disappointing game, disappointing day, in fact, or disappointing week, month, whatever you want to call it. It's not been great, as you can tell by the title. So yeah, 4-0 by Middlesbrough, as they call it, Kim Helberg Ball. Before I start, I just want to say that, like I said, I expected this to happen. Not this bad, not 4-0. But I did expect a loss. I know it's shit for me to say it as a QPR fan, but I'm honest completely when I feel like we're not great at the time. Middlesbrough are flying high at the moment, chasing promotion with this new manager that they have that has been killing it for them. So yeah, and with form with ours, you know, we haven't been great. Let's be honest, we have not been great in, well, at all this year, I would say. Toby says didn't even see the score. Wow. Yeah, we got thumped 4-0 last night or yesterday afternoon. Really horrific game it was. So yeah, very dead game. Hi Nick, welcome to chat. Hopefully you're okay. I know it was a disappointing result yesterday. Disappointing day for most QPR fans. But yeah, it's how it is, unfortunately, with us at the moment. We've got to get on with it and move on. So yeah, Amir says if we don't win in the next 3 games, I do see him getting the sack. Well, listen, look, if it happens, it happens. You know, at the end of the day, as long as we don't get relegated, I'm happy. You know, I'll get into it in a bit, actually. I'll talk about it a bit. I just want to get kind of the match reaction done first. So yeah. What's in the chat? Hello, DB. Hope you're all good. I've been better. I'm not gonna lie, a bit disappointed with the result yesterday. It's just how it is, I guess. Hopefully you're okay though. Hopefully you've had a great day. Unfortunately, I know most QPR fans, like I said, are probably not in the greatest thing at the moment. So yeah. Right. Let's switch to this scene. Right, so as you can see, oh hang on, Nick says, just said it how it is. We should still have players with skill and composure to give him a game. Listen, I have my thoughts on it completely. You know, I agree with certain things he says, and I agree with certain other things that shouldn't be said. I personally like Julien. It will always stay there. I like Julien a lot. I think he has proved himself in France to be a good head coach. Has he proved himself to be a good head coach in Championship? Well, at the start of the season, like I said, he did really well. But unfortunately, with issues, whatever's happened with injuries and whatever's going on with players at the moment, it's just not going on well at the moment, you know? Even with the quality we have, we shouldn't really be getting destroyed like how we have been. You know, performances should be better. And whether that's to do with coaching, the players not doing what they're doing told, and stuff like that, I can't really say, because when I'm looking at on the pitch, it's literally, defense was great in the sense of a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Attack has been shit since Burrell has been injured. So yeah, there's a lot to get into, but I just want to stick to this game at the moment. We have a busy week. We're live today, live tomorrow, live Wednesday, live Thursday, and live Friday, and live Saturday next week. So we're live pretty much all week, pretty much. So yeah, well, here we go. As you can see, we got more players, more people. But the truth is that Pogacar, Dembele, Madsen, and Burrell are technically really good, but with them out, we're at a big disadvantage. Robert says, absolutely no help from the midfield, which starves our forwards. Danboy says, tactics have been very bad of late. I'm not blaming players. Cool. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I've got no problem with that. Listen, at the end of the day, I've said it as it is. I don't know. I'm not the type of person to put the blame game. But when it comes down to games like that, when you get thumped in certain ways, it's quite an annoying scenario. So yeah, right, let's have a look. So yeah, like I said, QPR destroyed, I should say, 4-0 by Borough. Kim Helberg, a big fan of his. I think he's done a brilliant job with Borough. Them coming to QPR, did say a loss will be on the cards. It would be great for a draw, but we just wasn't in the game whatsoever. Anyhow, it was all Borough, to be honest. Goals from Strelec, Brown, Hackney, and Conway. You know, when you look at that bench, when you look at the teams that were put out for Borough, mate, they literally took the piss in the sense of where you had the best striker in the championship at the moment on the bench, you know, and it's one of them things where you kind of look into it and think, well, they have a fucking serious strong squad, you know, without any injuries. So it's mad. And Hayden Hackney, what a goal he scored yesterday. But yeah. So yeah, as you can see, well, as I can see, as we all know, ball possession wise, it was all Middlesbrough 69% possession with QPR lying on a 31%. Expected goals, Middlesbrough killing it with a 3.8. We are really low with a 0.6. Total shots, 16 shots to Borough, 9 to us. And passes, oh my god, 88% possession, 88% accurate passes for Middlesbrough, and for us 73%. Wow, absolutely astonishing, honestly astonishing. Their man of the match, obviously Hayden Hackney. We all know what he's capable of at the end of the day, you know. So yeah. But if we go into where is it? This one here. So match momentum wise, it was, do you know what? It was just all Borough the first half and the second half. There was glimpses of the second half where we looked a bit better, but we just couldn't do the trick. You know, we just couldn't do the trick. It wasn't great whatsoever. You know, we weren't holding the ball enough. We weren't passing anyhow to anyone, and the ball either kept getting lost, intercepted, or just letting it go. It just gave up. Every player gave up. It's honest opinion. But while I was watching, players were giving up. It's that simple. Obviously, they had a couple of scares with injuries with Dale Fry at the start, and some other players. Obviously, the first goal coming from Strelec. Now, obviously, there was a lot of controversy with whether it was a handball or not. Now, obviously, it came off Strelec's elbow in the bottom half. Now, technically, arm in that position, arm is down, technically, but obviously the linesman and the referee ain't seeing it for shit. Obviously, with no VAR in the championship, so technically it counts. So we can't whinge, we can't moan about it, and we got to stick by it and go with it. You know, at the end of the day, it put Middlesbrough up ahead and it gave them the advantage. It was great play by Middlesbrough to get the ball in the box that time, and it did the job. Second goal, Brown scored in the second half. Now, this goal here, it should be stopped. It really should be stopped. It's pathetic defending from Kone, it was. Kone not marking his man properly, and how a guy at the back post is getting away with headering it in and coming off of the bar like that and beating Joe Walsh the way it did is absolutely pathetic. That really needs to be worked on in training. And, you know, some of their set pieces on corners were very, very dangerous as well. There was chances like the front post, the back post, and we were just pathetic at all rounds of anything going into the box. Hayden Hackney scored the third. Well, honestly, like, Hayden Hackney is one of them championship players that is going to be big in the Premiership. 100%. You know he's going to be. You know, he's been a big star for a couple of seasons now, and he deserves it. You know, the goal he scored was a cracker. It's typically a cracking goal. Finessed it right in the box though, in the bottom corner, and it's beating Joe Walsh and all the defenders. So yeah, I honestly think it was a cracking goal. And then obviously we made some subs. Tylon Smith obviously giving some youngsters a run out in Tylon Smith and Escudina. Obviously, Daniel Benny came on, Jake Clark sort of came on, Paul Smith came on, but it didn't make any difference. And Tylon Smith obviously fouling his opponent in the box, gifting a penalty to Middlesbrough, and Conway obviously finishing it. Joe Walsh almost got to it. He went the right way, but it was just the power of the shot that beat him at the end of it, and Conway making it 4-0. I generally, be honest, there was only really one chance in the game, and that was when Kone scored. Well, Kone shot in the first half, and that was it, where it went straight into the keeper's hands. So nothing really amazing to report on QPR. Even the substitutions didn't really make a difference. There was a bit of energy at the start of the second half, but apart from that, it was dead quiet. And he's obviously got to make an understanding on what decisions he's got to make now with the squad. You know, like I said, this is the problem with us at the moment, and social media as well. You know, at the start of the season, a lot of people were whinging at him about playing, whether it's position wise, but also making sure that making sure also that the best players were on the field at the time and keeping the same 11. But now it's all changed. Certain people that I've seen on Twitter, the same people, are now changing their tune, where they're saying now, well, where's the rotation in the team? You know, I've been saying this all season long, where, you know, you can't expect a player to be playing every game and not needing a rest, especially if he's playing 3-game weeks. You know, Madsen, for example, Kone. You know, a lot of people are hating on these players. Well, not Madsen, but mainly Kone. And I'm not saying the issues are because he ain't getting rested, but it's the partly form is why what I was saying is this. You know, you need to rest your players to keep them fit, and this is what's happened. You know, yeah, I can't really say much on the Dembele and Varane one, or Burrell, but the fact is Madsen's gone off with a muscular injury. Ilya Sher did. You know, these players do need resting. You know, Kone's going to need a rest now. You know, he's playing too much. He's not scoring, and we need to change up front. It's that simple. We're not scoring goals. The defense is getting beat in the middle. And I'm going to be deadly honest. I was looking into it. I was watching videos last night before I went to bed. And I'm going to be honest, blatantly blunt. Look, I love Ronnie Edwards completely, but I'll be honest. Ever since he started playing in the middle, it's been bad. It's been really bad. The goals keep sneaking in. They do. So, personally, maybe sticking in Benge and putting Ronnie at right back for the moment until he understands what he needs to do, then maybe best decision. But right now, I love Ronnie Edwards. I think he's a cracking youngster, cracking player. I'm glad we signed him, and I know a lot of people are like, he's shit now, he's shit. But in my opinion, I'm not going to judge him for, obviously, you know, every game, because he played crack when he started for QPR. When he obviously got signed, he had 2 great games at right back. Personally, I think he was amazing at right back. I think he did a cracking job. But since he's been moved to centre back with Jimmy Dunn, he's not been excellent. We're allowing the opposition to get into the middle of the pitch and scoring these goals, where we should be flanking them out wide and stopping them from getting into the middle, you know. And this is the problem right now, you know. And Robert has just said something, obviously Ronnie into midfield. Yes, he can play midfield. We've seen it before. And dude, you know, I would personally say this, that I think yesterday's game, I'm not saying it would make a difference, but I personally would say maybe switching Kieran Morgan, leaving him on the bench, and putting Ronnie Edwards in midfield with Varane might have been the best option and suitable thing to go ahead with. And then obviously shifting Adamson or Jimmy Dunn at right back and keeping Mbenge and Steve Cook or whoever it is in the middle, you know. Because Robert's right. Listen, look, we have no midfield. We have no midfield at the moment. It's the facts. you know, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with him because we never really agree on anything. But he's right. We haven't got any midfield at the moment. We just suffered with injuries, you know. Is that Caden is meant to be our is meant to be our holding midfielder, our savior, but he's been really appalling since the start of the year. I wouldn't say he was appalling at the beginning because he didn't really play much, but when he did play, he looked brilliant. He looked brilliant against Swansea, he did away. But when it comes down to midfield, we have no one there. Kieran Morgan's not been great. You know, Varane's not been great this season. And it's a problem, you know. We need to kind of look into it. I honestly want, you know, I'm not going to say Steve Bold. I just really would love a more understanding and connection where Steve Bold lies with QPR, with what's going on. I know they keep telling us, you know, he's working with every player, every age group. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a coach that has high credentials with Arsenal, who's done really well. You know, and I don't get it why we're struggling so bad with defense, midfield, injuries, all this, all that. Why are we acting as a team like, you know, we're going on about how we have the best fitness coach, but why are we getting injuries so much? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But at the end of the day, Robert's right. We haven't got any midfield at the moment. They're pretty much all our best talent is injured. Striker wise, honestly, we need to give Kone rest. You know, he's not scoring goals. The form's not there. And we need to rely more on someone else. And if Colley's got to be on the pitch, then Colley's got to be on the pitch. You know, personally, I would call back Seller, see what he does. But I'd be honest, I think Julien needs to have a good conversation with some of these players to find out what's going on, because at the end of the day, that defense yesterday has been awful. With Ronnie being in the back, you know, I love Ronnie. I think Ronnie's a great person, a great player, but recently with Jimmy Dunn, he's not been performing great. You know, in the middle, you know, he's done an excellent job on the wing when he came in on the right back, but in the middle, he's not been perfect. So yeah, left back Rise Davis. Not been impressed with him recently. You know, at the start, you know what? I'll say this. First half yesterday, he played brilliant. He looked really good. He was doing the runs that I wanted to see, that we haven't seen for a while. You know, with usually when Chair's there or Sato, you know, but that second half, he dropped down a lot. When it comes down to also attack-wise, Sato is so quiet now. Harvey Vale is trying his best, doing what he can do, and it's quite frustrating to see some great players that we've signed, and you know they're struggling because injuries around and no help whatsoever. So yeah, but going back to the game, yeah, Middlesbrough was just all over us that second half completely. Like I said, the stats say it there. You know, big shout outs to all of them guys. I really hope Middlesbrough do get promoted. You know, they do deserve it this year. They've been an incredible side, you know, with this new head coach. So yeah, basically with rating wise, you know, it says we were playing 4-4-2. Walsh with a 5.7, Morgan with a 6.0, Edwards 6.2, Dunn 6.3, and Benge a 6, Vale a 6.4, Hayden got a 6.9, Varane got a 7, Sato 6.3, Kone 5.6, and Davis a 5.4. Very confusing ratings. I'm really probably going to come off FOTMob because the ratings are just stupid in my opinion. I don't know what's going on with them. Paul Smith came on and got a 6.1, Clark Salk 6.1, Daniel Benny with a 5.9. So yeah, in my opinion, the ratings are not correct on FOTMob. I might have to look at a different website to check, because there's some ratings on there that I think should be lower than it should be. Varane, I don't know how we got a 7, awful passing. Kieran Morgan a 6, awful passing. Kone 5.6, probably a bit about right. And Benge, you know, there were certain good players on the pitch, but you know, there's a lot of shit that we're just not performing well in. So yeah, I don't like the referee. Josh, the guy yesterday was awful as well. The referee was awful. Like I said, the first goal and the second goal that went in may have not counted. You obviously had the first handball goal, and you also had the second goal, which shouldn't have been a corner. Personally, when I was looking at it again, it did come off a Middlesbrough player, so we could probably count them two in there. So technically, the 4-0 result could have been just a 2-0. So yeah, mistakes from the referee was there, but I'm not blaming the referee. I just want to clarify, I'm not blaming the referee for the result, whatever, or anything like that. I'm just stating there was call-outs there that looked a bit obvious to me. So yeah, but we got to go on with it. We got to take the loss, take it, lead on. Obviously, we got Birmingham on Wednesday night and see what happens there. I'll be honest, something needs to change big time before that game happens. With whether it's formation, player playing. He's already declared saying that there's certain players still not ready to come back. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Whether he, whatever happens this rest of the season, I just want us to survive. Top 12, I still think we can hit top 12. And obviously go from there. But we need to get these injuries back quick. Well, I say quickly, but we need to get these injuries back as best as possible. And go from there. Now, with the table-wise, we're sitting 16th at the moment. Minus 12 goal difference. It's just so bad, man. Honestly. How we go from minus one to... Oh, sorry, 0, I should say. To minus 12 in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. Absolutely appalling. It's atrocious. 13 wins, 8 losses, 8 draws, 15 losses. It's not looking great. We're kind of looking like a Marty Fuentes side again. We are. 1 win out of 5. 4 losses. Not great form. Looking really horrendous. Luckily, there's teams that are more worse than us in this league. I'm not saying I'm not selling Sellers a fix. I'm just saying right now we need someone that can prove that they can score goals. That's all I was saying. So yeah. But yeah, we need experience. That's what I was meant to say as well. Experience. Middlesbrough flying high. 69 points. I personally would say this now. I think unless Coventry make a slip up, I reckon Coventry will win the league. And obviously Middlesbrough will finish second. Millwall's still up there. Chasing it with Ipswich. Hull, Wrexham are probably blown their chances for second place. But yeah, it's going to be a close call. It is for them. Apart from that... That's pretty much a match reaction sorted on that note. There's not much else to really say on that. Well, on that note, let's have a look at the comments. Anyway, let's get through these quickly. Well, not quickly as possible, but we'll see what everyone's saying. Where was we before? Ryan says, hello, mate. Sorry I'm late. You don't have to apologize, mate, honestly. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the comment. Hopefully you're okay. Nick says, I can only name Benge Valencia to a point that actually held their own as far as attacking. I would say Benge looked really good at times yesterday. Vale obviously really did. Sato was very quiet. It's been very quiet. He's not the same player as what we're used to seeing. So I don't know what's going on there. I can't really mention anything about Sato. Yeah, very nice guy. But yeah, he seems to get in a lot of hate on Twitter at the moment just because he likes to smile. So it's a bit weird, honestly, with people whinging about that. I don't get it. Yeah. QPR says, from all the players we had last season besides Manson, they have all gotten worse, and that ain't because they are shit, it's because of JS. I listen, look. I can't say yes and I can't say no to that. Because that's your opinion. For what I've seen, I can't sit here and say any players that we have at the moment are shit. The only players that I can say that definitely have been shit this season, in my opinion, is Kieran Morgan, Joe Walsh, Steve Cook, I think that's it for now. I think that's it. Varane as well. Varane. That's what I would say, personally. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say every player's been shit because, like I keep saying, and I hate repeating myself, look at it this way, right? we had a great start to the season. We did, you know. In my opinion, we had a great start with Julien. You know, it wasn't the bestest, but it was one of them ones, a big improvement from last season. We saw players performing. We saw what we wanted to see on the pitch. The attacking threat, defensive issues were a little there still, but we was winning games. We were drawing games. We're in a form. You know, it was looking great. I can't sit here and say we have shit players just because of the form has dropped. The only thing that comes down to with the form is whether morale and how players are feeling. What if something's gone down at the club, and obviously injuries as well. So yeah, everyone's entitled to say about shit players and all that, but in my opinion, at the end of the day, we were supporting and loving these players at the start of the season. We can't sit here and state that they're shit now just because of what's going on in performances. So yeah, that's what I'll say. Nick says, would like to know your opinion of whether you think some players are not liking the game plans or what they're asked. I would say this, Kieran Morgan does not suit Julien Ball. I will say that. Kieran Morgan does not suit it. I don't know why. From last season to this season, his passing ability, his performances, and his technical ability getting around the pitch has not been the same. You know, I know he scored 2 crackers, Watford and Birmingham, but the problem is, you know, whether it's goals or not, he's not performed like he did last season, and that's the fact. You know, for me, I saw something great at the start of the season where it came down to performances. I saw us attack a lot better. I really enjoyed the first game of the season. I loved it. Everyone knows, well, whoever joined in the watch along for the Preston North End game, listen, look, there was mistakes made. We didn't have the right signings in defence at the time. We were lacking. And I personally still think we have that potential, but because of obviously what happened with Coventry, the change of plan was there. It was done. You know, we're missing key players, and whether that is to do with being out of form or not, but at the end of the day, you know, we're lacking goals and creativity, and all of those goals and creativity, where are they? They're injured. So yeah, there's not much to say on that. But personally, yeah, I think Kieran Morgan needs to go out on loan. He needs experience. I would personally say there's some other players as well that needs to go out on loan. I would honestly say I think we got rid of a development player that I thought could be potentially do absolutely well this season on the bench, and that is Harry Murphy. I personally don't know why we let him go. I know he said obviously he wanted to go, but there's only a reason why he wanted to go, because I'm guessing he felt like he deserved to have an opportunity with the first team. You know, I thought he's a very mature player for his age, Harry Murphy, and I just think, what the hell happened, you know? So yeah. Robert says, bring Cook back for experience, move Ronnie into midfield, stick with Benny, Collie, and Smithy. It's a good shout with the forwards. It's a good shout with the forwards and obviously the midfield. You know, I would personally say Cook definitely needs to get on the pitch now. You know, clean sheets are a problem. Personally, I think Jimmy Dunn and Steve Cook may be best at the back. And Benge on the left, Ronnie on the right, maybe. That might help. I don't know. I know you said Ronnie in the midfield. That might help a little bit better. But I really don't want even Davis on that pitch either, to be honest, at the moment. So, yeah. Wham says, I missed the game, DB. Was our performance as bad as the result? Our performance was shocking. Wham. Thank you for coming in anyway. Thank you for tuning in. You don't need to obviously apologise on anything, like I've said many times. But yeah, you missed not much yesterday. It was a very appalling game. As you can tell, I'm usually enthusiastic after QPR games, but I'm just dead and exhausted from that game yesterday. So yeah, after having work and obviously a lot of people saying you got smashed and shit like that, you know, you didn't miss much. So yeah, the performance was really bad though. You know, performances have been really awful lately. So yeah, extremely poor. Obviously, Robert says correct. I'm sorry, Kone is shit. Robert says no, Ronnie into midfield. Robert says we have no midfield. He's a nice bloke, but Hayden has looked really poor all season. Ryan says, Wham, are we Julien out yet or give him the rest of the season? Listen, look, I'm not gonna lie, right? I will, like I said, I'm always Julien in. I'm gonna stay Julien in because I really like him and I think he can do something. I think he will get us promoted. You know, I think we should give him to the end of the season, but it's down to the board what they think and what they see with him. Now, I'm not gonna lie, with everything that was happening on stream yesterday and at the stadium with what you can hear, I was very, very concerned and very looking into it and thinking we may have had something come out this morning about Julien leaving the club. I don't know why. I felt like something like that was gonna happen just because of his performances and how he was sounding in the interviews lately. So yeah, I think his job. Do I think his job is secure? It's that pressure. It's pressure point at the moment. I would say it's pressure point where if it keeps getting worse, and he may be told you got until the end of the season to fix to see what we can do and go from there. So yeah, it is very much pressure. Like I said, I really like Julien. I liked Marty, but you know I think Julien is a lot better manager than Marty personally. And yeah, no, Varane is shit. Play Morgan with Ronnie. I listen. Look, I be honest. If you're saying Varane is shit and you're saying put Morgan with Ronnie, I don't know what you're watching, honestly. Because if you're saying you're watching the same game as me, and I'm agreeing the fact that Varane is playing awful at the moment, I don't understand what you see in Morgan right now. Because Morgan's passing ability has been shocking. His control ability has been shocking. His passing ability has been shocking. You know, it's not great for Morgan. That whole midfield has been appalling. It has, with its contribution in passing, creativity, and everything. So if you're gonna say Varane, I'm saying Morgan as well. If you're gonna put anyone in midfield right now, I would personally just put Ronnie and Isaac. I'd personally just put Ronnie and Isaac right now. If you want to give the youngster an opportunity. So yeah. Pete says we should have brung in more players in January. Julien should have seen through what would have happened by starting the same key players, expecting them not to get injured. I said this back in January when obviously the injuries were happening. I stated that we need to bring loan players in. And obviously Christian Nuri, his ability is basically he doesn't want loanies in. He wants permanent signings. He brought in a big signing in Ronnie Edwards. Was it a right call? I can't really say much, but it was great to see him sign. So yeah. We did sign a striker, a young striker from Coventry as well. But the fact is this, something's going on with him now, and he ain't playing. So yeah, no conversation with him whatsoever. I know people are saying that there's many stories what's going around, but the big story right now is literally he's got a stress fracture or something like that. So yeah. But I honestly agree that we should have brought players in January. So yeah. We should sell Varane, Hayden, and Kone. Fair enough. Pete says he relies too much on the same players, even if they are on bad form. I've been saying this. Listen, I've been saying this since the start of the season, and people have been aggroing me about it since the start, and that's why I shouted up about it. I stated this. I said we need rotation in the team. I got a lot of aggro about it by a lot of people. That we need to put our best players on the pitch to win games, and I stated this. Well, if you keep playing the same players, they will get injured. And what's happened? Injuries has come, and now we're whinging and moaning. You know, my opinion is this: Kone is a good striker, and he needs a rest. You know, and it's not just because of I'm saying he's tired. I'm just saying the fact is this: if you're in poor form and you're meant to be a goal scorer and you can't score in goals, you shouldn't be on the pitch. You're not ready yet. Someone should be replacing him. You know. Other thing is we shouldn't be changing goalkeepers constantly each time. That's another thing as well. So yeah. Just sell some players and restart. Now, when it comes down to selling players, obviously I could said it yesterday. In January, I have a big in January. In the new season, I reckon we will be getting rid of some players, but just because of budget. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if certain players leave. So yeah. Robert says we also need to address the injury list. How can players be out the entire season? They need to be motivated. I'll be honest, I don't think it's to do with motivation. I think it's just to do with the fact being that one, we're playing them too much. Muscular injuries need to be sorted out. Like I said, regimes, training facilities, training schedules need to be appropriately adequate to the player. So, for example, if Ilias Share keeps getting injured through hamstring injuries, why are we putting him in high intense training all the time? You know, Ilias Share should not be training twice a week. He should be on the field training once a week, and the rest of it in the gym or, you know, this and that. And the reason why I say this is because I learned this from Sir Alex Ferguson, what he used to do with certain players. Harry Kane did it with, Harry Redknapp did it with Ledley King at Tottenham with his knee injury, where his knee, he had no ligament in his knee and it would flare up. And the only way you kept him playing each week is simple as this. You take him off around 60-70 minutes and there we go. It's that simple. But in this day and age, health and all of that comes into it as well. But yeah, I don't know. Ilias Share wise, you know, he's had a tough year, or last year as well, with obviously the incident that happened. So, you know, that stress can play a role to that as well. So yeah. Robert says I would reduce the sick pay to 500 a week and you see how quick they return. Mate, I'll be honest, if you reduce 500 a week, that's fuck all, mate, to them, to be honest. If someone's earning 20 grand a week, that's fuck all. I don't think they give a fuck about 500. I know we would, but I don't think they would. But I don't even think it's to do with, like, even wage, to be honest. It's just the fact being that when we're not doing the right things to train these people and put them in a great regime. You know, if you think chicken and pasta or whatever is the best thing and to keep you fit, you're just talking out your ass. You know, yeah, food is a big big thing in fitness, but when it comes to injuries, it's more about how intense the training is and how you focus on it. So yeah. Pete says sell Hayden, sell Frey, and recall Seller. Well, Frey's gone. Hayden is still at the club. Recall Seller, then start him. Listen, look, Seller's not playing at the moment at his club, and we need a striker. I would personally call him back, but I'm not saying he will do the trick, but I'm saying he is an experienced striker than other people, so he might be more handy, and we'll see what he can do. And if we bring him back and he does well, then we might be able to say, all right, cool, well, let's give him a try instead of selling him in the summer. So yeah. Right. Where was we? We got a lot of comments to get into this. We do. Seller's not the fix, Robert says. Need a right back, left back, midfield, and right winger in the summer. I think we're right wing. It's all about fitness, you know. We don't really need to sign a right winger. We just need Poku to stay fit, and everything. Midfield wise, we need a creative player, I would say. Left back, yes, agree. Right back, I agree. Nick says, what the fuck is up with Poku? JS said that Poku told him he wasn't ready, and I mean, there's no transparent. See, the thing is, when the manager comes out and says Poku said, let me tell you something. The manager will say to him, do you feel fit? And if he says he doesn't feel fit, then that's down to the manager to make that decision. But at the end of the day, I personally said this, Poku should not be playing for any at all this season. Otherwise, I reckon he'll get injured again. So yeah. That's how I think. I think he needs a complete rest for the season, a whole reset. So yeah. And Chair Nick, according to the club, he should have been back about a month. Mate, some of these players should have been back. Listen, look, when this is why I say to a lot of stuff. When QPR come out with things like oh, we got players coming back from injury. They should state the fact being, okay, they're coming back to training. They're not coming back to the team until they're fully fit. So that needs to be adequately sorted out quickly about information about players, because a lot of fans are getting confused with, well, technically they're saying Burrell should be back by now, but he's still not back. Where is he? So yeah. Robert says jokes. Cook has been a stalwart all season. Nick says true, Ryan. Robert says Coney is absolute dog. JS is to blame for our poor form. Sack him. Steve K says. Pete says, I hope Burrell recovers and at least get benched until mid-March. Not saying we should rush him to recovery. Ryan says, even without the injuries, we aren't putting out a half-bad team. Bench absolutely way weaker, but injuries can't be an excuse of how shit we are at the moment. Listen, look, at the end of the day, the players we have right now should still be doing a good job. You know, it shouldn't be that bad. And the problem is this: we're lacking things in areas. You know, we have no creative player. Harvey Vale is meant to be a creative player, but he's not being played as a creative player, which is a bit weird. So yeah. Julien has lots of potential. He just has to adapt and make the right decisions. Pete says, we are Injury FC. You should be our manager. Listen, look, I've played too many football games, you know, and I've watched too much football. You know, my thing is this, right? You know, when it comes down to football, this whole thing with head coach and managers, right? I think I would get sacked straight away, because this is the whole thing about it. I don't want to be a head coach. I want to be a manager. I don't want to be a head coach. You know? For me, I'm listen, look, I'm young, right? I'm technically young. I'm in my 30s, okay? But I'm an oldie when it comes to football, because listen, look, my favorite managers, right? Clough, Matt Busby, Sir Alex Ferguson. Who else was there? Now I'm forgetting managers now. I'm forgetting managers. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I can't remember. You know, there was an ex Newcastle. Bobby Robson. I think it's Bobby Robson. I think it is. They're my four favorite managers, and they knew how to adapt players easily, and that's what I love about them. You know, but head coach wise, you know, head coach means you got to train them and all of that. I have tactics, but listen, mate. At the end of the day, it's something that needs to be a lot of effort. Look at John Terry. You know, I know people hate my QPR, but you know, he's doing his best to understand more and more and more until he, you know, is ready to take a job. You know, so yeah, I found personally John Terry would do well as a manager, but you know, there's a lot of controversial there at the moment with his ability. Nick says, I think serious conversation need to help at the club, and it correct decisions are made on ins and outs. If GS doesn't do well, as in get us to playoffs, I think he will be axed. Need to stop buying players with a long injury record. Nick says, Seller is unlikely to come back with us having 3 strikers when fit. Better to invest in position elsewhere. Ryan says, exactly, it should be that bad with players we are still able to put out. Why is this shit? Listen, look, like I said, man, for what I could see on our squad list, you know, we have potential in youth, we do, and we lack a lot of experience. You know, Steve Cook experience, Jimmy Dunn experienced, who else there? Hayden experienced, and then Ilias Cher is the only other player really that I would say is experienced. But he's injured, and it's the only creative threat that we have at the moment. You know, Sato obviously young, Harvey Vale young, Kone young, Burrell young. You know, it's crazy. It's really crazy that, you know, I get we're trying to build youth development, but the problem is there's certain youth guys in there that are not ready. They're not, you know. In my opinion, I stated that Tylon Smith would really look interesting to come off the bench, but with what happened to him yesterday, do I think it was a penalty? it's very harsh to say, but yeah, I'm not gonna get too much into it. So yeah, but yeah, at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that we need to get through this season. You know, like I said, this season's done with, in my opinion, on playoff wise. At the end of the day, I just want to see us in a good position, survive another season in the championship. Whether that is with Julien next season or whoever else they think of. But personally, we need players back, and we need a better regime and fitness, and we need probably to look at other candidates of coaching staff. You know, we need to upgrade our coaching staff. We need to have a look at that clearly. You know, we have some stupid, like real stupid roles in that club. You know, which I don't get. You know, I get the CEO part where sport director and football director and technical director, it saves money, but then you have so many people there that's not needed for, like, for example, fitness and stuff like that. With who they've got in there, it's kind of retarded. It's so stupid. It is. You know, I know they have these things, the questions and shit like that, but the questions that were told to, like, Christian is just stupid questions in my opinion. So yeah. But yeah, apart from that, that's pretty much everything for today. We've gone on for almost an hour yet again, talking rubbish about QPR. Yeah, listen, look, all I'll say is this: my backing is with Julien still. I still back him. I know you guys hate it when I say it. I know most of you want him out of the club now, but I will back Julien until I actually notice something, you know, that I really, really am getting irritated with. You know, at the end of the day, I honestly think it's more to just him with what's going on at the club at the moment. You know, there's something going on and it's not being said. Just like the Marty situation last season, something happened and we weren't being told. Yeah, I got a funny feeling something isn't being said. You know, I fully back Julien. I think he'll keep us up. He will. I think he'll put us into a better position once injuries come back. I know we ain't got long. We're in March. We've only got less than 2 months now. So yeah, we'll see what happens for the remaining season. We got some tough games coming up, and I really just hope that our form changes around and we get some information on players and injuries. Can I ask what you have actually liked about Julien this season? What have you seen? I've seen. Listen, look, right. It's simple like this, right? I'll compare him to 2 managers, right? So we have Marty last season, we have Julien this season, okay? Now, the one compact thing is this, right? Marty Fuentes was a very likable character. Very likable character, yeah? Julien, I don't think Julien is much likable like Marty just because of how Julien is with the fans. You know, Marty was more close with the fans, where Julien, I believe, isn't. You know, Julien keeps everything off the pitch, if that makes sense. I personally think Marty Fuentes was to do with the fans. So yeah. Robert, catch you Wednesday. Peace. No, it's Robert, catch you Wednesday, mate. We actually have our preview show tomorrow, so yeah, catch that. We on that. But we were right. Okay, so this is the fact being that Marty was playing safe ball. There's a reason why he got sacked from Leicester. The reason being he plays safe ball. The football he plays is not great for the championship, and it wasn't working for us. Listen, look. At the end of the day, he finished the same position for 2 seasons. He did same position. We have right now in our book the worst goal difference. Obviously, yes, I agree, but the difference between Julien and Marty is that Marty was more of a passing game. He wanted to pass the ball about and just kill time, and he wasn't fussed about goals. He just had goals in just crosses. Where with us, with right now with Julien, which I like about him, is that He's brought, at the start of the season, he brought an attacking threat, which everyone can't say no to, because you did see it. We have had a more attacking threat. Everyone was going on about it at the start of the season. And attacking threat. Passing was a lot better at the start of the season than it is now. And we just seemed more positive and happy, and we looked a real threat on goal. Defensive ability was a bit shaky at the start, but we soon got that sorted. But apart from that, you know, I really like both managers, but I just think Julien is a lot more better in the sense of this league than Marty is. You know, Marty was safe ball, where Julien wants to win games. It's that simple. I know we haven't win games at the moment, but it's that simple. Like I said, I'll always stick with Julien, and you know, I respect anyone's what people think about him and all that, but I'll always stick with Julien. You know, I never stuck with Critchley. Really hated him. Didn't like him. Gareth Ainsworth, I almost lost it, and I did at the end, as if anyone remembered. So yeah, but anyway, that's enough for today. Honestly, we're dragging on to almost an hour. So yeah, but look, listen. What I'll say is this: fingers crossed, we see something better coming. You know, that's all I'll say. Apart from that, hopefully you all have a lovely evening. We've had a great conversation. I love it all. I really do. I really love having conversations with you guys. You know, we share great thoughts together and everything like that. We'll just read the last couple of comments there. Just had a shit preseason lucky within, yeah, okay. We got a lot to look forward to next season. I'm actually excited, but we need to get a few in and a few out. Cheers, mate. See you Wednesday. Listen, look, we'll be live tomorrow anyway. We'll be live tomorrow with our match preview. If you're available, come in. Just tune in. We've got a match preview for Birmingham. We'll be live tomorrow, hopefully by 6, 7, 8-ish. 6, 7-ish, I'd say. Shit, I just realized what I said. Don't copy that. But yeah, apart from that, everyone have a lovely day. Have a great evening. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the like button. It does help the channel a lot. Smash the hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Peace, love, positivity as always. Let's stay positive, and yeah, have a good evening.